Good afternoon. Mark Teran, mortgage advisor since 1986. And I'm here to talk about home loans and the process of getting them and answer questions that you may have along the way. Couple of housekeeping items. So, one, I'm going to be recording these on Monday and Wednesday live. So you can jump on Zoom with markteran.com and put your questions in the chat, and I will answer them or unmute you if you just want to ask them live. So I'm also streaming this over on YouTube, but I can't really monitor both chats at the same time. So I won't be monitoring the YouTube chat. I suggest you jump on to zoomwithmarkteran.com. Meeting ID is in the information that I've sent out. So that's first piece. Uh, I'm going to only record one per week in post. So I'm going to cover the same topic on Monday and Wednesday. That way you can, either jump on either day or come back on if you have questions that didn't get answered. And I get really good at covering this topic. Over time, I may eventually switch that up. But to start with, I'm going to cover the same basic topic on Monday and Wednesday, and then only record one and post them. They'll be posted on my YouTube channel, which is under Mark Teran, Your Mortgage Man, and you would go to the playlist Home Loans Unplugged. And the other place I'm going to place these recordings will be on my Facebook group page. So you would we want to become friends on Facebook under Mark Teran, and I'll add you as a friend. And then you would look up Mortgage Monsters. Mortgage Monsters. You'll need to answer a few questions because it is a private group, and I will happily admit you in, and then you can get in and see recordings there. The purpose of doing the group page is I can also include files in there that I think will be beneficial information for you. And so let me quickly share my screen and do one other housekeeping item. So thank you for your patience with me. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Give me a minute here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay. Oops. Okay. There we go. All right, so let's make sure you're seeing what I want you to see, which is this Mortgage Monsters page. Let me bring that up for you. Okay, doesn't look like you're seeing that just yet. Hang in there, I will get this right. We're going to redo that share. Definitely want you to be able to see this. Okay, so on the Mortgage Monsters page, once you get access in there, you'll have this discussion where we'll have the recordings, and I'll have thumbnails on the recordings so you'll know what they're about. You won't need to go through this intro again because I'll cut that out. And then we'll have a featured section. And then all the way over here on the right, you'll see files. You'll be able to come in here, and I've got a whole bunch of great content for you. And I'll be adding to this over time. You can see I've got 4 strategies to elevate your credit score, a credit handbook. I've got a newsletter that I'll do quarterly. I've got a Sac County utilities guide. I got a moving guide. On and on we go. There's going to be some really great information there for you to participate in, and it's only going to build and get better over time. So why am I doing this? Well, having done loans for as long as I have, since 1986, what I find is most borrowers, they may reach out to a loan officer like myself and kind of start the process, but they're not really good about getting all of their paperwork and documentation in and getting formally approved before they're out there finding that dream home that they fall in love with. And the problem with that is loans actually are complicated. No matter how great your credit, how great your savings, and how great your income, there are rules and guidelines that A-paper loans have that often come as a surprise to the consumer. And heck, it even comes as a surprise to me. And so I want to help educate on this process, and I can't do it all in one take. So I'm going to be sharing this over time. There will be thumbnails created for each one of these topics. And so you'll be able to go through the thumbnails and find information that may be interesting to you. I tell you that it's very important because a lot of times when you're buying a home and you found that dream home that you love, that you want to buy, I promise you, you don't want to be worried about qualifying for your loan. You don't want to be worried about the documentation or loan program questions. You don't want to be fiddling with the loan. You really want to be focused on negotiating to get the property that you want to buy, that you love, and make sure that you negotiate it on your terms as best as possible. And when you get into escrow these days, the listing agent and the selling agent pretty much demand a very fast, boom, get it done escrow, which means once you're in contract, inspections need to get done, appraisals need to be done, and everything needs to come together very, very quickly on most transactions these days. 21 days and less is what's required. And when you're looking at spending hundreds of thousands of dollars and to buy a home, I would think you would want to be focused on the home, not on the loan at that point. You want that all taken care of. In addition, if you're fiddling with the loan, you don't have time. You're going to need to order the appraisal right away. You're going to need to order your inspections right away. And if for some reason there's something that comes up that causes a difficulty on your loan, it's going to cause stress. It's potentially you're out the money for your inspections, and it's heartache, not only for you, but everybody else in the transaction. And we want to avoid that. So I want to enlighten people on what goes on for A-paper loans. When I say A-paper loans, I'm talking about first-time buyer programs, FHA loans, VA loans, conventional loans. I'm not going to be talking, for the most part, non-QM loans. If I do, I will specifically say, hey, today's discussion is about a non-QM loan product. And the difference is a non-QM loan or non-qualified mortgage typically has higher rates. They're a bit more expensive to get. The terms are not as good as the A-paper loans that most people want. In my experience as a loan officer, in most cases, borrowers that I work with, when they miss the boat and they're not going to make it on an A-paper loan, and we start talking the non-QM products, the higher pricing, the higher payments, the higher amount of money to get into the property, most of them don't want to do that. And I can't blame them. And if that's going to be the case, it's best that you know in advance. So let's learn about A-paper guidelines and documentation, because that's where the surprise comes in, right? Often your loan officer is going to ask for your W-2s, your pay stubs, your tax returns. And what happens for most folks is they don't get this in timely, and they get it in late thinking, hey, I got great credit, I got great savings, I got great income. There should be no problem. And then the fun begins. And that's not a good thing when you're in the middle of the loan process. Or the middle of the purchase process. So tonight, I want to talk about